As my name states, I'm not Lebanese, obviously. I'm not bankrupt either, although my last name, of course, is Papadimitriou. I have 3 passports. They're all in a safe in Zurich, and my real name is Jason Bourne. No, so I was born in Switzerland. My father is Greek, obviously Papadimitriou. My mother was from Finland, so it's very easy because, you know, as a Greek I can dodge my taxes. As a Swiss I can hoard the money. And since everybody knows that Santa Claus lives in Finland, I'm basically funding Christmas, so you can thank me for Christmas. On this, welcome everyone. I'll be your host today. I'll try to make a good job. I'll try not to talk too much today. 2 little housekeeping items, because I know everybody's been asking. No, there's no Wi-Fi. Yeah, but you have 4G now in New York. Come on, you can actually live with that. And there's no power either. We'd like you to be more engaged with all the great people we'll have on stage more than looking down at your phones. And yes, if you could just put your phones in silent mode at least, that would be very nice from you all. If you're on Twitter and you would like to tweet, that's fine. Just use the hashtag StartupLabNYC. You'll sometimes see, by the way, if you look at the screens on the 2 sides, you see that there are some of the tweets already appearing there. Oh, mine is there as well, the black and white picture. But without further ado, we'll start directly. And I'll invite on stage, I'll try, you know, I'm very tall, I'm sorry, so I'm going to remove myself from the stage every time you speak, because otherwise I take too much room. So I'll first invite the Deputy Assistant Secretary Lawrence R. Silverman from US State. Please, you can, thank you. And you know what, you can applaud, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I'm going to apologize in advance. My voice is a little weak, but I hope you can hear me and more importantly understand me. I want to thank Salim Zeni and the American Lebanese Chamber of Commerce, our longtime, the United States government, longtime partner in Lebanon. And I want to thank Startup Lebanon as well for inviting me to speak to all of you today. I'd also like to recognize my good friend, Ambassador Antoine Shadid of Lebanon to Washington. And it's also an honor, I think, for all of us. I know that to be speaking at this conference along with Lebanon's central bank governor, Riyad Salameh, who will be joining you virtually, I guess, later on today. I also bring greetings from Ambassador David Hale in Beirut. Let me say at the very outset that the United States stands firmly with Lebanon and the Lebanese people as they face serious challenges and threats. Those threats come from foreign conflicts, from efforts to drag Lebanon into such conflicts, from some parties, from violent extremism, as you well know, and huge economic stresses. The United States stands with Lebanon against those challenges. When I speak publicly or when I testify to Congress, I always emphasize that what the United States has done to surge security sector assistance to the Lebanese armed forces in its ongoing battle against extremist groups spilling over from Syria. We stand with you, with the Lebanese people, against a common foe, a foe common to all civilized people. But as you well know, the answer is not just a military response. It's civilizational, it's ideological, it's political, and it is very much economic. The legendary cultural and economic strengths of the Lebanese people are crucial to the country's stability and its independence. And the prowess to develop business opportunities is crucial if Lebanon is able to create jobs for the roughly 30,000 Lebanese that enter the job market every year, especially in a country where the unemployment rate is now estimated at about 20%. Lebanese innovation and entrepreneurship date back centuries. I began my diplomatic career in Africa, and I remember that when you needed something, you often went to a Lebanese-run business to get it. And that is repeated around the globe. As my colleague David Hale said recently during a business event in Beirut, the Lebanese shined in places where challenges and risks are much higher than in Lebanon. That entrepreneurial spirit that those immigrants brought to their new homes was enriching. Fortunately, these communities never forgot their connections, even when they left Lebanon. They never forgot their connections to their home in Lebanon. So today, I read about pioneers in Lebanon working on such areas, and I may be talking about very people in this room. 3D printing, facilitating the streaming of content, online payment systems, robotics, development of new mobile apps, promoting open source software standards, green technology in buildings, data encryption, hydroponics, software to enable more efficient energy consumption and more efficient use of generators, and perhaps of greatest relief to those of you in Beirut, to residents of Beirut, information systems on how to avoid the worst traffic as you drive. None of this happens, of course, without a good educational system. And Lebanon's higher education system is one of the best in the Arab world, and here are the results. I imagine many of you today are graduates of AUB or Lebanese American University or Haigazian or St. Joseph's. How many, and I'm sure many of you attended the university in the United States. Critical thinking, experimentation, and openness to debate, those are practices cultivated at these institutions and others, and they're the fundamentals for creating an advanced economy. And they underpin the modern startup economy. Lebanon's entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs are among the best educated people in the region. They add to the dynamism of Lebanon's economy and to the economies of many other countries in the region and beyond. Imagine what they could do if there were more public-private partnerships and better infrastructure so they could use more of that brain power at home. We like to think, those of us in the United States government, we like to think of ourselves as partners in nurturing education and entrepreneurship in Lebanon. Through USAID, we've dedicated funds to develop entrepreneurship among Lebanese youth. Just in March, we announced a new $15 million program to support entrepreneurship in partnership with the Berytech Foundation, which I think is represented here today, one of the leading institutions supporting startups in Lebanon. The program will also facilitate linkages with the Lebanese diaspora in the United States and with US markets. And we're renovating schools, we're training teachers, we're providing scholarships so that worthy students can attend American-style universities in Lebanon. And I know our embassy not too long ago hosted what they call a massive open online courses camp to promote online education with institutions in the United States that's focused on entrepreneurial idea generation and vetting. This is not a charity from our point of view, from the US government's point of view. It's a smart investment. A Lebanon with a strong, vibrant economy is more resilient to security challenges and regional turmoil. And a Lebanese population invested in that country is one that can seek the long-term interest of their nation as a whole. Lebanon has great potential, and as I was talking with a couple of people here earlier, that includes the potential of petroleum resources offshore, if necessary government decisions can be made to enable that exploration. In a crowded global startup economy, there are many choices for investment. Investment in Lebanese companies promotes stability and economic development. By promoting Lebanese entrepreneurship, we don't think we're doing Lebanese startups a favor. We're simply recognizing this latest form of Lebanese ingenuity and business sense for the smart investment opportunities that they are. Make no mistake, the Lebanese business sector is fundamental to Lebanon's stability. We rightly talk about the essential role, as I said, of the Lebanese armed forces and the internal security forces as the only institutions responsible for securing government authority all throughout Lebanon. But a strong private sector is also essential. We know how critical, for example, the private banking sector is to Lebanon's stability, and I just had a good opportunity to meet with them, as I do every year, or more than once a year, back when they come through Washington. We work very closely. You know about things like anti-money laundering, but we also work with them very closely because they are such a mainstay of the Lebanese economy. And the Lebanese really appreciate the resiliency of the private banking sector. I'm a non-economist, so what do I do if I can't understand everything that I read in the economic press? I watch the Consumer Confidence Index. And that rose early in 2014 with a new government in Lebanon, but then fell as the presidency remained open, vacant, and the security forces were attacked by Daesh and the Nusra Front. The public has rallied around the security forces, their security forces, as they have fought off the extremists. That tells you, in my mind, what you need to know about the effects of and the interrelationship of politics and security on economic performance. Let me say that meeting today's challenges requires fully empowered government institutions. It requires placing national interests above political or other interests. Electing a president won't solve all of Lebanon's problems, that's obvious, but it will be a critical step in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate to all of you involved in Lebanese business or investing in Lebanese business, that Lebanese business has a critical role to play in Lebanon's prosperity, in its stability, and its independence. And the entrepreneurial spirit so associated with Lebanon's history and so evident here is vital to Lebanon's culture as well as to its economy. This is a time for all of you to help build Lebanon's future. I wish you success in connecting Lebanese entrepreneurs with counterparts and potential investors here in the United States. Thank you very much.
Good morning. First, I would like to thank the American Lebanese Chamber of Commerce and Startup Megaphone for inviting me to participate in this very important first Lebanon Startup Conference in New York. A much needed celebration for Lebanon. I welcome all of you, key entrepreneurs, investors, stakeholders from Lebanon's startup ecosystem, as well as members from the Lebanese diaspora. Let me recognize my very good friend, the president of AmCham, Salim Zandi, and the members of the board. Salim, we admire your dynamism and efforts on behalf of Lebanon. The US-Lebanese economic and trade relationship has benefited enormously from your initiatives here and in Lebanon, such as this one today in New York City. NEA Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, my very good friend Larry Silverman, a true expert on Lebanon at the State Department, and His Excellency Minister Jihad Azzour, and Mr. Samir Karam, Chairman of the Startup Megaphone. Ladies and gentlemen, your conference today cannot be more timely. Today I'm speaking to a well-versed audience. For a small country, we have generated and are still generating more of our share of news. However, while reporters and diplomats concentrate on bad news, very few touch upon the good news. And your meeting today is for sure good news, rather an excellent one for Lebanon. Over the past years, Lebanon has become the home of paradoxes. It is a country that many allege to defy understanding, and indeed, I must say that numerous experts in the region have thrown their hands in exasperation, trying to comprehend the complexities that abound. But let me immediately tell you that Lebanon is not a land of chaos and despair. On the contrary, it's a special spot on our globe whose people are blessed with democracy and with impressible faith in themselves and in their proud civilization. And that is exactly what saved Lebanon from the chaos around her. Despite adversities, traumatic conflicts, and protracted differences of opinion, the Lebanese, one way or the other, always reach to each other and bridge the differences, if I may say so, à la Libanaise. Ladies and gentlemen, our meeting today is another manifestation of the strong partnership and shared values and aspirations between the US and Lebanon. Americans and Lebanese admire freedom, tolerance, democracy, the right of free expression, and the support of civil rights. The partnership between Lebanon and the US dates back to many, many years ago and continue to grow. The first American to go to Lebanon arrived there 180 years ago, and the first Lebanese to come to the United States landed on these shores in New York a quarter century later. The former was a missionary, the latter a priest, and then the trickle of Lebanese immigrants to the US grew to a stream. We cannot, of course, neglect the economic ties between these two great business cultures. Countless Lebanese came to this country for economic reasons. While a great deal of the US activity at that time in the 50s and the 60s has focused on the Gulf region, American businesses preferred to establish offices in Beirut, and even companies whose work was exclusively in the Gulf often opened its offices or their offices in Beirut. Why? There were many reasons at the time, and still: modern facilities, free banking and exchange, excellent medical services, good schools, modern telecommunications, comfortable climate, openness and warmth, a strong belief in business and free enterprise, joie de vivre, and a cosmopolitan attitude. Of course, so many things changed in Lebanon then, since, and in other countries in the area. But despite our chronic maladies in Lebanon, we never lost our flavor and our role. Our commercial and entrepreneurship roles are still our trademark. Actually, the US honored a young, successful entrepreneur from Lebanon. Lately, May 11th, some days ago, President Obama honored at the White House the Lebanese entrepreneur Ziad Sankari for creating innovative heart technology. The White House invited emerging entrepreneurs from around the world to highlight the importance of investing in young business people like you. Sankari declared that he hopes to support other startups in Lebanon. We take him of his words. We are proud of him as a role model for other Lebanese to emulate in this country. Several years after losing his father to a heart attack, he pursued studies in understanding the electrical activity of the heart and how monitoring and analyzing that activity can save lives. Today, his company uses FDA-approvable devices that enabled heart rate monitors, allowing for heart monitoring centers to communicate diagnostic and preventive information to patients in the US and Lebanon. This center has now more than 40 employees. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lebanese, all of us, are farmers and fishermen, bakers and builders, professors and processors, actors and attorneys, poets and especially politicians, as you know. But if you scratch Lebanese, you'll find our identity as bankers and especially merchants. And now, if I may say so, I came up with this start-uppers, if I'm allowed to start the word. And it is as such that our international role can be understood, the role of which Lebanon has received world renown. We are a successful banking center, and still, yes, still, despite our successive crises, our banking sector is safe and sound. Our bankers have been respecting all the international rules and sanctions, as the US Treasury Department knows very well. As most international businessmen know, Lebanon has a thriving free market economy. The many wars and events in Lebanon and in the area made at one point the bright prospects of this economy look fade. But like the legendary phoenix, Lebanon has emerged from the ashes and is steadily regaining its former vitality. The private sector, your private sector, played an active and primary role in this process. I am the first to admit that we should implement the economic and institutional reform measures to help the Lebanese economy achieve its potential growth. Definitely, we should adopt a comprehensive macroeconomic vision to rejuvenate the economy. The support of the international community is important and is absolutely crucial for the Lebanese experience of democracy to succeed in our part of the world. We have challenges, definitely, but we have opportunities. The path to prosperity is not easy, but with a combination of entrepreneurial spirit and resiliency unique to the Lebanese and strong ties to the international community, especially to the United States, Lebanon will continue to make great strides along the road to recovery. Given the circumstances, it is remarkable that the damage to our economy was limited. We have so far defeated the most pessimistic scenarios, but it should be sustained by good governance and reforms. One of the most promising areas for economic and job growth is the small and medium enterprise sector, which is vital to achieving economic goals. The banking sector has encouraged and is continuing to encourage new alternatives by financing small and medium-sized enterprises and now by financing innovation-driven enterprises through private equity and venture capital. The successful and brilliant Lebanese central bank governor, Dr. Riyad Salami, said that the central bank, more than any other time, has the means to subsidize the liquidity that earmarked medium-term loans for small and medium enterprise sector and for innovation-driven enterprises, which is a subject of our meeting today, the startup. I believe that a program to provide Lebanese innovation-driven enterprises with equity capital and related technical and other assistance could prove to be an essential additional component to expand and create additional jobs. It will help start-up companies by expanding sources of financing and via other forms of assistance, support entrepreneurship, which will keep the Lebanese well-educated youth in their country. We want to keep them in Lebanon. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rich cultural heritage, modern Lebanon is today characterized by sharp political divisions and pressures from external forces that undermine attempts to build a cohesive national culture and economy. Recently, the conflict in Syria has placed additional pressure on Lebanon as refugees arrived in unprecedented numbers. By early 2015, Lebanon had given refuge through its open-door policy to over 1.3 million Syrian refugees, the equivalent of 25% of the country's population. U.S. foreign policy, as my friend Larry Silverman said, supports Lebanon's sovereignty and promotes stability through a range of military and economic assistance. USAID, and I visited them lately in Washington, will work towards increasing the competitiveness of Lebanon's private sector and increasing access to finance credit, especially in rural areas, by addressing labor market issues. Essential in this context is the resiliency of the Lebanese private sector and its projects and investments like the startup. We have to keep promoting our startup culture, so we go back to individual initiatives and to Lebanese capitals which have started to repatriate, and we hope they will continue this way. And I also hope that some American companies are preparing to filter back to Beirut. You can still make money in Lebanon. Lebanon is a very profitable country. Ladies and gentlemen, due to its tough geopolitical location, Lebanon may not have so many positive things going the right way for her now, but the Lebanese people remains its most rich resource. After we elect a new president of the Republic, and we hope we'll do it sooner rather than later, the constitutional institutions will work in harmony again. Larry, you said that the election of the president will not solve all the problems, but it is the condition to start solving the problems that we endure from. I don't want to sound over-optimistic as an ambassador who likes to promote his country at any price, but I sincerely believe that a number of positive factors indicate a bright future for Lebanon and its startup initiatives, namely, one, a well-educated, capable, and innovative population. 2, a strong banking system which has outperformed all sectors of the economy. 3, an economy primarily based on services. 4, the resilience of the private sector, including the expatriate Lebanese communities. And finally, a free market economic environment. Taking in consideration these positive elements, I have no doubt that Lebanon's startup ecosystem will flourish as we already witnessed in the country. I congratulate you for holding this meeting in New York to promote Lebanon as a successful investment place and to allow us to tell the success story of our young entrepreneurs like yours and start-uppers, if I may say so, in this world's financial capital of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, the fact that with bright people like you, Lebanon weathered the storms and is a source of confidence. It will therefore become a herald of the new rather than the echo of the past. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be in New York for us, especially at the American Lebanese Chamber of Commerce. After several years of doing Lebanon Day in the US, it was mainly targeting the banking and the financial sector. This year, we decided that it's about time that we give our new entrepreneurs, our young entrepreneurs, their chance to meet here, to be in New York, and to meet the investors and the VCs and to try and go global, because it's not that we don't have opportunities in Lebanon, but definitely this is the only way that we can, that they can progress and get out in the world, in the business of the world. And there is not a better place in the world other than New York where they can do it. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today for this special gathering. For those who have been to Lebanon, or know any Lebanese people around, and there are many around the world, you have an idea about the energy and the resilience that Lebanon embodies. For those who have never had the chance yet, today you will witness what potential and aptitude the Lebanese people possess, especially the youth and up-and-coming entrepreneurs that are roaming the globe with successful ideas and inventions. Lebanon has always been known as Paris of the East for a reason. Weather, cosmopolitan culture, multinational and highly educated people, fashion capital, nightlife and beach destination, entrepreneurial mindset, and of course its famous celebrities. I'm not going to name many, but definitely I always like to name one person, which really marked not only Lebanon, but the history and the art and the literature of the world, which is Gibran Khalil Gibran. Today in the Big Apple, we bring together some of the most promising new Lebanese talents to highlight the booming potential of Lebanese entrepreneurs and startups. Our vision for this day is a culture and intellectual exchange, bringing knowledge and inspiration from the industry's best and showcasing local startup stars of tomorrow. This is a gathering of entrepreneurs, investors, and ecosystem leaders with the aim to help build the future and to promote the international Lebanon of Lebanon's startup ecosystem, which has so much potential, as you will see. Given the right support and type of support and ecosystem, the next startup success story can come out of Lebanon. At the American Chamber, we believe that the knowledge economy and of the future will have an enriching impact on the economic and social growth of our region, and not only Lebanon, because still Lebanon is the center of the Middle East region and novelties and creativity, and especially in the development of the countries around it. Our past is filled with stories of historical entrepreneurs, if I may call it that, where Lebanon traders and artists and business people excelled at their crafts, and our future is being shaped today by the digital revolution that the Lebanese people are embracing. This economic shift to the intangible resource, which is ideas, is inevitable. And we need to accept the change and ride the wave now. Startup Lebanon is its first ripple. Stay tuned for more. I don't want to go more than that because I will leave it later for the professionals who are going to speak here. But definitely, I would like to thank all those who are here today, and especially Mr. Larry Silverman, His Excellency Ambassador Shdid, and His Excellency former Minister of Finance Riyad Assour, who are always and have been in their positions of a great support to Lebanon, and especially Ambassador Shdid to the Lebanese people in the United States. And really, he made all the difference in the relationship between Lebanon and the United States. Thank you. To the future of what we are doing here. I would like to mention first that our major partner is Bank Audi. Also, France Bank as a conference partner, and IC International College, who went out of their way to try and make this a success story. And also, someone who always have received us in New York and never failed to introduce us to everybody, especially the diaspora in the United States, General Counsel, Mr. Ramadan. Thank you.
To sum it up, what we can say today is Lebanon is, in fact, clearly a forming ground for entrepreneurs in the region. Large entrepreneurial activities, well-educated and talented people, and our entrepreneurs are opportunity-driven. However, we still have some issues. We have low participation of women, and I think this is going to be our next challenge. Second, we have limited showcasing, and I think the event today is one of those events that are very important to showcase success stories. Both also on the support side, we have been witnessing, as I said, in the last decade, more engagement by both public and private community and NGOs in helping startups and entrepreneurs in growing their businesses. However, and this is something that you guys currently and companies like yours are facing 6 overarching challenges. The first one is the growth per year. Most of the startups are able to make it for the first wave of growth, but it becomes very difficult for them to grow beyond. Lingering old economy, and I think this requires some major restructuring of our regulations in order to allow new economy to drive business and then open up for talented young people to invest and grow. Unused potential of capabilities. The issue that we have, big part of our young generation immigrating is in fact not allowing startups to get the level of talents that exist in the country but not in the market. Changing business environment, and I think you are all representative of those who are able to adapt and adjust, yet our economy has to do more on that front. Economic uncertainty and political uncertainty, as it was mentioned by my colleagues here, is today one of the most deterrent issues that is limiting the ability of startups to grow and young talents to invest in the country. What to do? Where we go there? I truly believe that this is the new frontier of growth and job creation in Lebanon. And therefore, we have here a unique opportunity to galvanize talents, resources, and capital to go into this direction and use startups and entrepreneurs as a new way of growing our economy beyond its current level, create jobs, and then make it even more resilient. And for that, I would like to propose a strategy that is based on 4 pillars. One is to grow from small to large. You're all able to launch businesses, but we see many people not being able to move from startup to well-established company. Sustainability. Sustainability is one of the main challenges that we face. Innovative. we are not yet at the level we should be in terms of innovation, and this is due to the lack of research and development that I think new programs need to be dedicated to that, and competitiveness. Those are the 4 pillars that can be, in fact, supported by 6 strategic thrusts. Those thrusts will allow us, in fact, to win this battle of making our economy grow faster. The first one is evolving business leaders. Assist startup owners and managers to evolve more into well-established companies, build their corporate culture, and allow them, in fact, to grow beyond their potential. Second is facilitate the right funding. Many has been done, yet it's still a very large platform to develop, especially on the PE side. We have good VCs, but I think the next stage is to develop the PE business. Improve access to market. The global economy is changing, and also we need to adjust in terms of regulations, in terms of support to the business community, to allow it to, in fact, get better access to market. Capabilities and innovation. I think this is our winning battle. Through innovation, through investing in research and development, we are able to, in fact, differentiate ourselves from our competitors in the region, be it, in Jordan, Egypt, and other parts of the Middle East. Develop a conducive business environment and improve infrastructure. This is a must. As facts are showing, we are, in fact, way behind others in the region, and this is going to be a strong potential for us, not only to create jobs, but also to help startups to grow. Last but not the least is to create the effective coordination effort. And here, I see a lot of energies, a lot of interest, both public sector, private sector, NGOs. We have to have all these people working together. And this is, in fact, for me, a way to conclude by saying, I see today, and for the next 5 years, the best way for Lebanon to grow, create jobs, keep the talents in Lebanon, is to nurture startups, allow them to grow, provide them with capital, talents, and resources, and, above all, create the right environment in regulations, infrastructures, as well as also access to market. There is definitely great potential in what you're doing, guys, and your contribution to the growth of the Lebanese economy is tremendous. Thank you very much.